Is it live? And here we are. Welcome to another exciting episode of Rodney Hash Live. Today we've got a pretty interesting one here. So let me just make sure my mic is working. All right, looks like that's all good. All right, so for those of you who aren't aware, it appears that there is... Oh, geez. I apologize. New stream problems. So for those who aren't aware, here in Ohio, it appears that there's war going on in the cannabis industry. So normally, like when you think of war going on in the cannabis industry, you think, oh, well, the illegal guys and the legal guys, oh, the legal guys don't want the illegal guys. Well, it's more interesting than that. Like, yeah, that I'm sure that's going on too, but it appears that the legal cannabis operators here in Ohio are now going to war against the legal legal hemp operators. For those that don't know, it's the same plant. Scientifically speaking, it is all cannabis sativa, I think L. So with that being said, the regulations are a little bit different. Hemp is federally regulated. It is also regulated by the state. No matter what OCAN or these operators will try and tell you, there is regulations. They're just not the exact same as our current hemp or cannabis industry. Sorry, you can use these words interchangeably. Just kind of is what it is. And again, just to give you guys all a heads up, I will be able to see everything on the chat. Appreciate you, Red Dragon Cell. Shouts out to you. So what's going on now is, yes, pretext, we do have SB 56, which did make all intoxicating hemp illegal here in the state of Ohio. Everything beyond 0.04 milligrams of CBD is now illegal here in Ohio, unless it's from a state-operated dispensary here in Ohio. It can't be from another state. It has to be Ohio only. If you bring state products that are licensed in the state of Michigan or New York or Colorado or anywhere else, and you bring them into Ohio, per SB 56, you are violating the law. Now, yes, that has always been a federal crime, but it has never been a state crime. In fact, technically, under the Farm Bill of 2018, it wasn't even a crime to begin with on the federal level. Why? Because hemp and cannabis, again, being interchangeable, are the same thing. Now, when you go to a dispensary, and if you start looking at these COAs, certificates of authenticity, and their actual test results and everything else that's in there, you're going to find a majority of the products in there, their total THC, not THCA and THC, but they're just THC molecule in those plants, is more often than not less than 3%. So I will also be real that there is a difference in testing. Now, that does not mean like there is no testing and it's completely unregulated. All the Ohio licensed operators for hemp had to go through almost the same exact testing as those in the cannabis industry under metric rules. So metric being the seed sale program that they all use, but that's what they argue, well, because we're using metric, we're better. And it's like, well, no, not really. So what's going on now? Now there's a lawsuit. It appears in Butler County, Ohio, multiple Ohio cannabis operators have now filed lawsuits, and this is a very, very big lawsuit. The civil complaint is actually 81 pages. I had to go through quite a bit, using AI to help on top of it, but like even then, it's still like there's a lot there. So the companies that are filing the lawsuit are Campbell Hill Ventures, Juicy, which Juicy is Beyond Hello, Buckeye Relief Holdings, which you guys all know is Buckeye Relief, Amplify, Standard Wellness Company, or the Standard, Shangri-La dispensaries, both the main Ohio Monroe one, the Cleveland one, Monroe West, Delphos, Ohio Grow, which I think that is also another Beyond Hello Juicy company. So all of these guys are filing lawsuits against the hemp industry. These defendants include VIP Smoke Connection, CBD, or what is his name? CBD Shaman America, CBD American Shaman, Mood Product Group, Collective Society Corp, Cali Steam, AVS, Terp Nation. There's so many. And then it's beyond just the hemp guys. They're also going after the testing labs. They're also going after, believe it or not, UPS, United Postal Service, FedEx, Shopify. Like, I can't make this up. They're really going after them. Now you're gonna ask, like, what can they go after Shopify for, or Accurate Test Lab LLC? Like, what is going on here? There's multiple labs in this lawsuit, tons of producers, tons of retail stores. Like, what is going on with this 81-page civil complaint? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into. So make sure you like, subscribe, stick around, because it's not easy to go into all this. If you go on to the Butler County Clerk of Courts here in Ohio, and you search any of those companies that I've just listed, you will find a civil complaint. What is this number? CV 2026 05 1139 Campbell Hill Ventures LLC ETAL versus VIP Smoke Shop Incorporated ETAL Stevens. The Honorable Judge S. Stevens is the judge in it. So it says intentional tort, other tort C, and I'm going to be going over what every single one of these charges are that they're trying to file against them. But to be able, so that way you guys can find it and source it for yourself, so it's not just hearsay and me just saying some nonsense. On the docket, you will find the complaint and filing. When you click on that image, that will bring you to the actual PDF, which is their 81-page complaint that they have filed in Butler County. Now, let's get into it. What are they alleging? Let's go here. So, essentially, what the companies are claiming that the hemp companies are doing, the legal cannabis operators like Buckeye, Standard, Hello, or Beyond Hello, and Shangri-La are claiming that these hemp operators like CBD American Shaman are infringing on competition. Here, let's just go into the actual counts. So there's count 1 of unfair competition, which, whatever, it's not really, because it's under hemp. It's not cannabis. I'll be honest with you, I've been kind of digging into this a little bit. There's a CBD American Shaman in the Cleveland area. I went up there. I talked to the guy that runs that store. They did open a little bit late, and I got super concerned that they might have shut down because of the lawsuit. It was not the case. There was a gentleman outside, though, that I did strike up a conversation with, and I'm kind of hoping he's watching this, because shouts out to you. This dude isn't even a veteran. But the reason he did not know any of these companies' names, like Standard or Buckeye or Shangri-La or any of them, was because he did not care to go to a dispensary. He would much rather go to a hemp store. He doesn't want to have to be required by law to give his ID. Now, the reason I say, even as someone who's not a veteran, because my grandfather, before he passed, was a veteran and a patient over at the VA here in Cleveland. His doctor at that time, even we had medical legal at that point. He said that if he ever tests positive for THC, he will lose his ability to go to the VA. His doctor will not serve him. His doctor will not see him. Just none of it. So with that being said, that's pretty big. So the unfair competition, I feel like, is just not really valid there, because a lot of the people that would go to one or the other are not the same. And that's not how they see it. Only place get an actual detailed explanation of the kid. Shouts out Faded Bat. Appreciate you. Is Buckeye being sued, or are they doing the suing? Buckeye, Standard Wellness, Shangri-La, and Beyond Hello are all doing the suing. They're all bringing the hemp guys to court. They have filed that they're going to war. And obviously, I would call it a war because at this point, this isn't the first act of it. SB 56 and lobbying that, I would argue, is the first act of that. If not, I'm sure there was actions beyond that. And you can look at OCAN's page on any platform and see the kind of nonsense that they're spewing, the propaganda that it just straight up is, saying that it's an unregulated, untested market. I've talked to operators here in Ohio that all say that they had to go through this. I've talked to labs here in Ohio. I've talked to the first 2 testing labs here in Ohio. And one of them was ranting and raving about how, guess what? You know, would you guys believe that I was actually the first guy to test hemp in Ohio too? I actually had to do the same exact tests. I was doing it both on cannabis and on hemp at the same time, the same exact tests. He was thrilled about it. So, I mean, it's just kind of one of those things where when they say that it's unregulated and untested, they know that they're being dishonest. That's why I don't believe anything people like that say. So, the first count is unfair competition. I'm going to go back here because I missed a part of this. The first count is unfair competition, and that is against the retail defendants. The second count is, again, unfair competition against the lab defendants, the carrier defendants, and Shopify for unfair competition. Because the people that go on Shopify are the same people that go to the dispensary. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Anyway, this is where it gets highly escalatory. They aren't just going after them for civil or for unfair competition. They're going after them for civil conspiracy. That is not a charge you want. Civil conspiracy is essentially like these guys all got together and knowingly and intentionally broke the law to try and violate all kinds of Ohio laws and this, that, and the other. Like, that's not a small charge. That is not a charge I would ever want anyone hanging over their head. That's not good. But that's what these cannabis companies are trying to get to happen. Now, keep in mind, I had heard from someone who had attended an OCAN meeting months ago when I blew the whistle because I had gone to a friend of mine's store that sells glass, and they were told that Amplify had called the cops and told them that these guys are violating the law and you guys should probably check them out. And because of that, the sheriff came in and was like, hey, like, we're not doing anything about it right now, but we understand SB 56 just passed, and, you know, like, anything that's hemp related, we're going to go after it. So they took all their stuff out. And then I went in and I'm like, oh, man, you don't have to do that yet. And they're like, no, sheriff already came in and told us. When I posted that out, someone from an OCAN meeting came to me and said, hey, I overheard Andy Rayburn at an OCAN meeting saying that he wanted to not only make it illegal to do these things, but he wanted to help fund the prosecution thereof. This right here, we are seeing it actively. So, yes, that was an allegation. No, I didn't have video evidence of him saying that, but I did have a source coming to me telling that. So, now here we are seeing the actual funding the prosecution thereof the hemp operators and civil conspiracy. And it's not just one charge. There is 10 counts of civil conspiracy on here. Counts 3 through 13. The next one is violation of Ohio Corrupt Activity Act, which is basically like RICO charges on the state level. Essentially, they're saying that all these guys got together and knowingly and intentionally broke the law to try and be illegal competition to the Ohio cannabis operators. Wild. So, in that one, the violation of Ohio Corrupt Activity Act, revised code section 2923.31, that is counts, what is that, 14 through 24? Yes. Then count 25 is civil liability. And keep in mind, going back, the civil conspiracy is against the retail defendants, the carrier defendants, the retail producer defendants, the labs, and Shopify. The violation of Ohio Corrupt Activity Act, those counts are against the retailers, the carriers, Shopify, and the lab defendants. The civil liability for criminal acts under revised code 2307.60 is against all defendants, including UPS and FedEx, the labs, the retailers, the producers, the carriers, Shopify, all of it. That is insane, my man. Come on, what are we doing here? Oh, the weed mafia in Ohio is absolutely horrible and not what anyone wanted. Man, that is absolute fact. That is not what... And for them to say that we don't know what we voted on, we knew what we voted on. We wanted more licenses. We wanted more operators. We wanted cannabis freedom. We did not want this nonsense. We wanted the ability to have something like a Vehicle City Social where we can have a farmer's market and just go and meet with the growers and be like, hey, I'm looking for something to help me with X, Y, or Z, and people to be able to look for things that are to try and grow things to try and help those people. That's what we want. What we want is, yes, for there to be dispensaries, that are heavily regulated, and not regulated in a nonsense way. What I mean is using common sense regulations at the dispensary for legitimate med patients. Like, there's no reason that there shouldn't be testing, or if you're testing for terpenes, there's no reason they shouldn't be able to be on there. There's no reason that we have a law or a regulation here in the state of Ohio where you can put your terpene percentages, but don't you dare put your total THC percentage on there. Like, it's insanity what's going on here. And instead of these guys that are legal operators, instead of them lobbying to make the laws looser, they're lobbying to make the laws tighter. I can't mess with it. I just don't get it. It is literally Ohio weed mafia. Crazy that they're supposed to sell medicine but start bullying hemp vendors. That's absolutely true. It's crazy. Shouts out to Mr. Dripworth here. Crazy that they're supposed to be selling medicine but start bullying hemp vendors. Pathetic. That is... Welcome to corporate greed. They essentially want to monopolize the weed market in Ohio, and they're doing like they tried to do in 2015. That's just true. This is exactly what the people voted down in 2015. Is we don't want 37 growers, even if you include the extra 14 that might come from the standalone processors getting their own small grow. Even then, that's not what we wanted. We wanted a local group of 6 guys that are really good growers to be able to go get a license, go start a grow it, sell it to the dispensary, and come up out of poverty. That's what we the people voted on. And if you agree with that, like this, share this with a friend, subscribe, because I'm not going to stop. I'm just not. Because this is what I'm out here advocating for. And when I see things like this, I'm going to report it to you guys. And now that I have access to be able to do these things on the live chat and be able to do podcasts, I will be doing way more of this. So make sure you stay tuned. The final couple accounts. I don't know if I brought this one up, but this is count, what is this? 26. Violation of the Ohio Deceptive Trade Practices Act. And then count 27 is violation of the Ohio Deceptive Trade Practice. Yeah, same thing, but one's against all the retail defendants and the other one's against the lab defendants. It is absolutely nuts. So now, going on, and let's talk about... So I went to the CBD American Shaman. And as I said, there was a gentleman outside there that was straight up telling me that he would never shop in a dispensary, but he would like to shop here. So if they close this down, he's really hurting. And they're limiting access to things even like CBD. And then on top of that, these dispensaries don't offer CBD products. Go ahead and find me a strictly CBD product in the Ohio dispensary. I'll give you $1. Because genuinely, I don't think there even is any. And if there is, it's so far few and in between that it's good luck. So, I went to the CBD American Shaman. While I was there, apparently they are similar to a franchisee. Technically, they're not a franchisee anymore. It's a whole thing. So he doesn't know what's going on with this lawsuit. The lawsuit is against the company, the LLC itself. He's like a subsidiary of it. But even then, if they shut them down, like they're shutting him down. Now, when SB 56 passed, as soon as he got the hints of it, he immediately pulled all of his other stuff like THCA flower and gummies and things like that off the shelves because he was trying to stay compliant. Like, it's not like these guys aren't trying to stay compliant. Is there loopholes? Yes, absolutely. There's loopholes in the tax system for all you rich billionaires filing these lawsuits. The reason that you guys want Schedule 3 so bad is because that way you can file the things that are loopholes, that way you don't have to pay as much in taxes. I'm sorry, but the whole reason that we wanted cannabis legal in part was that way we could tax it and regulate it in a way that made sense, and those taxes could go to fund things like schools and libraries and social equity programs and things that would help all of us, because we know that there's people are going to buy it no matter what. So if they can just go to a store, buy it, and spend a little bit of that on taxes and that go places, okay, cool. That's what we agreed upon. But instead, you guys are just, it's insane. So again, these guys are trying to stay compliant. CBD American Shaman is trying to stay compliant, but what are you supposed to do? The federal laws are what they are. Ohio laws are what they are. And they've been trying to operate within those laws, and now they're going to try and bring a gigantic lawsuit, civil conspiracy, unfair competition, violation, like basically state level RICO charges, including UPS and FedEx. It's insane. And again, this is 81 pages of stuff, but it's pretty intense. They're arguing, well, because we had to pay like high taxes and we run strict lab tests and they don't. And it's like, well, I mean, the out-of-state guys don't, but that's because we don't have any rules about that here within the state. We have rules within the state that regard what those that are growing and operating within the state are, but now you just shut all those guys out too. So yeah, we had 120 acres or the equivalent thereof hemp operators here in the state of Ohio. Well, now we don't have any. They're all gone. Like, what are we supposed to do here? Do you have any CBD isolate? I don't think I've ever seen any just straight CBD. When I get CBD isolate, I usually either go to, if I'm looking for something specifically just CBD, I'll go all the way up to Michigan. I'll go all the way up to Ann Arbor. Winewood Organics. That store has CBD tincture that is very affordable. The other one is Future Compounds. Those are the two people that I buy my CBD products from because it's reliable. I know where it comes from. Does SB 56 affect male as well? You say you're getting CBD isolate. Does SB 56 affect the male? I think that's kind of in large part what these guys are trying to argue. Is even after this, a lot of these guys are still mailing these things. They're just not having open retail stores. I don't know. I don't really get it. I don't understand it. It's pretty mind-boggling. The amount of CBD, CBG, and stuff like that you find in the dispensary is negligible. It's probably like 1% or less of the market share. I don't know why you'd want to make all of these guys illegal. I see there's a couple of you guys in the chat. I will leave this open for a couple of minutes to see if you guys have any questions about what's going on here. See if there's anything else that I missed. I wouldn't be surprised. Let me double check. Testing labs. So actually, we'll go with the testing labs. So one of the claims that they're making here that's pretty wild is that the testing labs are falsifying tests and making it so that, hey, like, this looks like it has almost no THC in it, but there's plenty of THC in it. Well, that's not true. As I said previously in this video, in this live, if you test a majority of the products in the dispensary right now, they're mainly THCA flower. And then like 0 point or 0.03 or something like that THC. THC happens when that THCA is oxidized or heat's applied to it. So part of the molecule falls apart more or less. It loses weight and becomes the THC. Kind of a terrible way to explain it, but so all the products there are the same there. The way that the testing works is in the cannabis industry, a lot of the times, and they're trying to change this. They are trying to change this. They test your product after it's like dried. Maybe not when it's cured. Sometimes after it's cured, but they'll dry it, they'll cut it down, they'll harvest it, they'll dry it, and then they'll test it. In Ohio, you're allowed to retest up to 2 more times for a total of 3 tests. Got another chat or 2 in here. I'll come to that in a second. You're allowed to test for a total of 3 tests. With that being said, that's all like after it's dried. In the hemp industry, the way that they get around that is that way they don't flag for because it's dried too long and too much heat's applied, so now it's hot. When they say it's hot hemp, it's either it's flagged for pesticides or molds or mycotoxins, or it's flagged because it's got too much THC. Now, the only remediation that they can really do, to my understanding, is they're allowed to remediate that THC by basically grinding all that up and adding plant biomass back into it with the attempt to try and bring it down. Now that's on the hemp side. But when they're in hemp, what they're testing more often than not is while it's still growing, they try and keep that room nice and cool so that way it doesn't have a chance to heat up or oxidize. They test that, run it through, go, all right, cool. And then like another week or 2 later, that's when they actually do the harvest, and that's your THCA flower. So now let's look at this. I personally really enjoy type 2 flower, and you can't get that in the Ohio cartel market. That is some really good nomenclature. Type 2 flower is, I'm pretty sure type 2 is like CBD or it's a 1-to-1. And I agree. And I've talked to some of these guys and I've told them, like, you guys need to bring in like 1-to-1 flowers. While I was working for one, as well as after the fact, just talking to them regularly often. I'm like, hey, like, you guys need to bring in some of these 1-to-1s. The CBD market can't necessarily grow a 1-to-1. You guys should be doing that. Now, yes, is it not going to sell right away? Probably not. And then for 2, if it's not good, people aren't going to buy it when they do buy it. Things take time to catch on. And then on top of that, like, if it's boof, if it's airy, larfy buds that are just kind of like, it's not good, it doesn't smell good, it doesn't taste good, it doesn't hit good, it's burns your throat, people aren't going to continue to buy it. Maybe something you guys should all learn. For testing, it will convert naturally sitting on the shelf so a product can test good and turn hot just in shopping. Yes, Mike, that is absolutely true. And that's kind of, I think, what a lot of these guys are trying to predicate a lot of their argument here on, is I think they're trying to say, hey, like, if you test all this flour that's sitting here on the shelf that's been sitting there for a long time, it tests at like 1% THC and the rest is still THCA, but that's above the 0.3% threshold. So that's kind of where they get to it. And it's like, yeah, but that's still not how the regulations work. The regulations work like they work by it's tested on the plant and then you don't get a retest. It is what it is. It's mind-boggling. And again, I'll leave this open for a couple more minutes here just to see if any of you guys have any more questions here. Let me see. What other part of this shall I talk about? And again, this is pretty wild because to me, when I first heard those rumors that Andy was saying, like, hey, like, I do want to fund the prosecution of hemp industry people, I was like, I don't know, like, Andy's kind of an asshole in my opinion, but that's so far. Like, I've heard of in California the legal market getting together to try and go after and work with the cops to try and make the illegal grows that are like massive illegal grows. I don't agree with it, but I get it. But when you're talking about the hemp industry and they're constantly saying like, hey, these guys aren't like legal, and it's like, no, they're technically more legal than you, because federally they've been legal since 2018. And even then, I'm sure there's hemp guys that were like, oh, I've been growing CBD cultivars, and now I can grow THCA cultivars. Sweet. So they've been in compliance. They've been trying to be legal. No one wants to be going to jail for this plant. Like, we will, but it's only because of the fact that you see what's going on with it, and you're like, yo, that little girl Charlotte got her life back thanks to Charlotte's Web, but they don't care about that. You don't see Charlotte's Web. You don't see White Widow. You don't see a lot of things in the Ohio market. And if you do, it's botanical and it's a lie. I am very disincentivized to shop in any Ohio dispensary. Do you think FedEx and UPS will settle just to be annoyed? Just to not be annoyed? I really hope those guys do a hold my beer moment and flex their billions at OCAN. I really hope that they don't settle. I don't think that they will. I will say I had a friend that used to work at the Hemp Co. here in Willoughby, and through which I will also say they intentionally did not include United States Postal Service. They only included UPS, FedEx, and Shopify. So I almost think that's part of the plan there. I think the reason that they didn't include USPS, like the regular mail department, like the government ran mail department, is because they have to have these things called COA, certificates of authenticity. That COA comes from that test, which the hemp industry or the cannabis industry may not agree with that test. They may not like that test. They may disagree how that test was conducted, but I'll disagree about how their tests are conducted, and we will get into that here soon. I will be going and doing a video on remediation and what all these industry people are doing. That's one of the most common things that comes up with whistleblower activity is people come to me and say, hey, KCG is blasting their moldy buds. Hey, Buckeye Relief is blasting their moldy buds and calling it cured resin. Hey, like everyone's doing it. Like, it's insanity, but it is what it is. Oh yeah, okay, and friend of the show. Same with Adrienne Robbins, my favorite Pilates instructor, and she is absolutely a friend of the show. Shouts out to you, Adrienne. I'll see you in the basement for that next Pilates instruction. And by the way, not in the basement. Friend of the show. I think they intentionally did not include USPS because they know that they are not violating federal law and they understand federal law. And if they include them in it, then they're going to be like, well, now you've got to deal with the federal attorneys. And they don't want that smoke because they know that if they really make these arguments that they have to defend it. And like, yeah, they might be able to defend it after November if nothing happens. But I mean, the burden of proof is on them, and it is pretty insane. OCAN, I don't get what you guys are trying to do here. If you take my friendly advice, I would advise you guys to just drop all this shit. This is nonsense. Like, focus on your grow and instead of spending millions and millions and millions of dollars in litigation costs, spend millions of dollars in, I don't know, fixing your roof that's leaky. Whoever that may be. The shoe fits, you gotta wear it. If you got moldy buckets in your ceiling, you gotta wear it. If you know, you know. And believe me, there's quite a few people that know. And it's not just one of you. It's a lot of you. All right, guys. I think I've said everything that I can about this lawsuit. I don't get why they're trying to do it. I do. They think that they're competition. They're not competition. Again, if you like this, like, share, subscribe. It really does help me get this to more people. I am currently sitting at 743 subscribers. Until I hit 1,000, I can't even monetize. So it's really hard for me to do all this. Costs like $300 just for this mic, and then all the other equipment I'm not even going to get into. But I do this for you guys. I will be doing more of this content. Yeah. All right, guys. Peace.